Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Wiser by the 30s. Yes, that's the whole vibe, Wiser by the 30s, and I'm super excited to kick this off with a very important topic. Uh, Personally, I feel this topic is very close to me because I am someone who deals with it every day but doesn't know how to fix it. So today's topic is peace of mind, and we have a special guest here to discuss this. Nikhil is here to explore this topic with me. He's my very good friend, and I really admire him for the person he is. He's very calm, composed, and I know he's going through a lot of things right now, and still he doesn't really show it off. Like he's really, in peace. So let's discuss about this topic in more detail with him. So, welcome to the podcast, Nikhil.
Thank you, Nupur. Thank you for having me, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, let's dive right into it. And the first question that comes to my mind is like, when you think about peace of mind, what does it really mean to you personally?
Peace of mind, ability to stay in the present. I'm not constantly worrying about my future. I'm not constantly regretting the things that I've done in the past that didn't go my way or anything of that sort. I am just in the moment, trying to live life at its fullest, right? It's as simple as that. Um, and the best thing about being in present is that you are able to develop that capability of keeping things simple,
Right.
right? What I've observed with a lot of people is that they tend to complicate things a lot rather than solving issues or making it easier for themselves. They don't make it simple, right? And what I've figured out after being here for for 5 years now at this point of time,
Yeah.
you have to be able to figure out how to make things simple, right?
Fair
Simplification
enough.
really makes your life easy, and it really helps you having that peace of mind.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand what you're trying to say here, but do you think the idea of peace has changed over time for you?
That's actually a really interesting question. I don't think my idea of peace has changed over a certain amount of time, but uh, how I go about it has definitely changed as to what it was, say, 3 years ago to what it is right now. Things change, situations change, you come across different people, you deal with different situations, and there's always a different way of how you come out of that situation,
Right.
which is not always constant. But what I've also seen, I've had those certain habits. For example, I love going to the gym, no matter what I've done in the day. Right? It could be just a 30-minute session or a 40-minute session, but whenever I'm doing that, whenever I'm being consistent with something, it really helps me with having that singular thought in my head and staying having basically that peace. But coming back to your question, no, definitely things have changed over a certain period of time. Things that used to give me peace at one point, they don't really matter anymore.
Right.
And I've developed certain new habits that allows me to just stay in the present, as I mentioned, and keep things simple.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're saying the idea hasn't changed much, but how you deal with situations, maybe that has changed.
Absolutely,
Right.
100%, yes.
So we hear or talk about peace of mind so often nowadays, but most of the time it's just an abstract idea, right? It doesn't feel realistic. And I'm pretty sure that you must have had your fair share of struggles, but do you have any specific moment or experience where you were struggling to keep your peace of mind, but you dealt with it?
It's actually like I like the way how you said abstract, right? It's so different for everybody,
Yes.
and it's so ambiguous that way. Uh, and there was this video that I saw a few years ago from this one CEO of a company. I don't remember exactly who he was, and then they were in an interview, and this person asked that person, like that CEO, how does your team manage with stressful situations?
Right.
Right? And the answer was like really fascinating, because at the end of the day, we are all humans and we are impacted by the negativity around, or the negative
Absolutely.
environments, or the certain stressful situations that you
Yeah.
face in your day-to-day life. So this person said that what they like to do is whenever they have a stressful situation with their team or whatever, they like to get it out of the system. They take 5 to 7 minutes off, or 5 to 7 minutes out, and then they just bitch about it, complain about it,
Right. Like get it out of their system.
yeah, cuss it out, yell, do whatever, get it out of your system. Take that 5 to 7 minute break, but once that's done, it's done. You're not going back there and start complaining again, and then you're actively working on actually fixing that problem. So whenever I'm in a certain situation and life does get hard, uh, and so at certain points when it's hard, it's really really difficult to stay in the present because you're always contemplating your decisions and you are unsure of whether you're making the right call or not. And as I mentioned earlier, right, it's important to get it out of the system. It might not necessarily mean that you have to yell it out or break a chair or anything of that sort. It could be as simple as just talking to somebody about it and explaining the entire problem. You don't even have to discuss solutions, but once it's out of your system, you assess the you have that I believe the ability to assess the problem by its own, right? And then you can actually just go about how you can make it better for yourself. If you're able to do it constantly over a certain period of time, it kind of becomes like a habit and becomes a part of your nature, right? It's easier said than done. It's easier said than done, but once it becomes a part of your habit, it's really, really
You embody it.
you embody it, and then it's just from there on you're constantly just how to deal with stressful situations, and then you're constantly working, okay, these are my options, how can I go about it, and this is going to make my life easy and simple.
So what I can understand from you is that it's more of a practice.
100%, right? Any good thing that you want to develop in yourself could be as simple as, say, learning a new language, or writing a new language, or maybe getting into eating healthy or anything. Everything comes with the practice.
Keep doing it every day.
Exactly. It's all comes down with discipline, right? So you have to be constant. You have to constantly keep working on it. As you keep doing that over a certain amount of time, certain period of time, it becomes your second nature, and then
you don't really have to struggle to keep it consistent.
Exactly.
So developing this habit, so you said, is something you realized in your early 20s, or was it your later 20s when you decided that, oh, I need to work on this?
It's interesting. It was actually in the middle of my 20s, precisely. So it's fascinating because I learned the importance of having that peace during COVID.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I think many people can relate with you on this then.
Right. So this was when I had just started working. I had graduated out of school. I didn't used to drive at that point of time, and I used to commute to work, and that was about 2 hours of one side at that point of time. And during that time, obviously the protocols were in there, so you had to maintain all that social distancing and whatnot. But what I also noticed that because life was so hard at that point of time, people were stressing and they were all doing weird stuff. Even when I was at the bus, and they were either stressed out or they were just lost in doing whatever. There was that constant sense of worry, and that was very much evident.
Wow.
And I started observing these patterns over a certain period of time, how people, when they're insecure, how they behave, and all of those little things. And because I was still fairly new in this country, I didn't really know a lot of people. I started picking up on these habits, and as I went along, because I still had certain goals in my mind that I wanted to hit. For like, even after having that 8 to 10 hour long day, I would still hit the gym at, say, 10 at night, pretty much every single day. So being by myself and observing all these patterns, it allowed me to understand human psychology at a better level. I realized having that peace of mind is not a very hard thing to do. You just have to follow those little things over a certain amount of time, taking those small initiatives in your life to make your life better at a daily level, on a daily level, right? And that really made a big difference for me. And what I also observed, most people were not aware of the little things that they could do to make their lives better. Or some people were just not consistent, or some people just did not know how to deal with certain situations, or maybe because they didn't have enough self-awareness. Right. So yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I could just say that COVID was one life-changing moment for you, in a sense that you realize, oh, I need to focus on developing peace.
I wouldn't really say that
just COVID.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
There were other factors.
Obviously, yes. I wouldn't really say COVID was just one factor, but I think that was a thing that pushed me over the edge where I started focusing on it a little
Okay.
more. I always knew what I wanted to achieve and how I want to go about things, what values matter to me, what doesn't matter to me. But
It did give you a little push.
it gave me a little perspective to understand how things work and how I can learn to make things
Better.
simple. Yeah,
So we do live in a very fast-paced environment where stress is more like a constant enemy, right? Like
yeah,
we can't really escape it.
yeah,
So is there any specific, like you have mentioned that you do meditation or you work out a lot
yeah,
to keep keep the peace sustained, but
yeah.
are there any specific habits which you will like swear by that, oh, this works well for me to keep my peace intact?
That's a really interesting question. This will make me think a lot because over a certain amount of over the last couple of years, I never really had a constant habit. That'll be my like go-to thing that
To
I'll
live a
do
peace.
to have that peace of mind. But what I would like to do is I would just some days want to be by myself. Not saying I wouldn't want to interact with other people, but I would want to be home at a reasonable hour just so that can have an evening to myself. Not necessarily saying I'll spend it at the gym. I could be literally at home just making myself some food and watching a show that I like. Right? It allows me that space to clear my mind out.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good.
Right. So what I've also seen, sometimes people don't realize how important having that personal space is.
True.
And I like to have I love my personal space, right? I'm really really confident in my personal space. That actually has allowed me to give allow difficult situation to just set in, and then just be myself. I'll give you an example. I think it was like last year in December when I got laid off. Right, obviously that was something that was like that really stressed me out, and I
Sure,
was
yeah.
not sure how to deal with it.
True.
And it took me about 2 days to let that fact sink in, that this has happened, because I did not see that coming. But as I mentioned, right, once it settled in, that was like a good awakening moment for me, and it really helped me understand how important it is for me to have faith in myself. That's actually the
Wow.
tattoo why I have this
Sabr.
over here. Basically means have faith in yourself.
Yeah.
What's meant to be yours will be yours.
Yeah.
At that point of time, I had faith in myself, and then I started trusting the process.
Okay.
I made a plan that I have to stick to the process, and I have to keep doing it every single day, no matter how long it takes. I was fortunate enough that I landed a job within a week, but having within those 5 days, the amount of self belief,
Yeah.
this amount of self belief that I was able to have in myself was something I didn't think was possible.
Wow.
Right?
That's very inspirational in that sense, because uh, it's a very crucial and a very sensitive time period when you are all alone and all by yourself,
Exactly.
and you are hanging by a thread, and that's faith,
Exactly.
right? I have to trust myself at least, because that's
If not me, then who?
then who exactly. Oh,
Right.
that's a really good line.
I think ever since that, having that level of self belief has been my constant go to for having that peace. Like, I'm not saying that self doubt doesn't exist, it still does exist. What if I get laid off again or anything of
Yeah,
that sort, right? It
of
can
course.
happen, right? Would I be able to deal with it again or not? There's the self doubt still exists, but at the same time, I remember I'm quick to recollect myself and go
And
like,
come back.
because you stop worrying about the things you cannot control, and once you
True.
start just working on the things you can actually
can.
control, it makes life so much better.
I mean, I completely understand what you're trying to say, and it's 100% valid. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's
It
definitely
is
very
very hard.
hard for you to have that faith. Sometimes we get lost, right?
Yeah.
And we tend to stray here and there because we lose that self confidence because of the external. There's so many factors that kind
Yeah.
of pressurize you in this rat
100%.
race.
100%.
And it's very inspirational that what you're sharing right now, because I'm sure there have been a lot of people who are going through that phase every day, and then
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
it's really important for us to trust the process, as Nikhil said, and just have faith in our capabilities.
Yeah.
So, summarizing what you just said about your go to, I would say it was trust, like having self belief and
Trusting
having
the
a good
process.
routine
Yeah.
and spending some good quality time with yourself.
100%.
Yeah. Have you noticed any direct impact of having peace in yourself, uh, both like on your physical and mental state?
I think you cannot have peace in your mind if you're not looking after your physical health.
So it's the other way you're trying to say.
100%. Like when you go to the gym and actually have a good workout session, it makes you good about yourself, right? So
right.
not saying not prioritizing physical health over mental health, but they work both hand in hand.
Right.
So you have to look after your physical self, and mental health will follow. If you start, like for example, even for me, there are certain times when I'm not able to hit the gym, and I've seen myself slacking off because life gets hard sometimes, right? And I've seen
Right.
myself slacking off, and whenever that happens and I am a bit out of shape, it directly affects my mental health. But when I'm constantly hitting the gym, doing the hard work that I have to do, and that hard work directly affects my lifestyle, right? And when that's happening, I can see how better my mental health is, or how well I'm looking after myself, how happy I am, how constantly I'm in a very I would say a simple state of mind where I'm not thinking too much about
Okay.
too much about things that I can't
So
control.
you're saying is the other way around, that having a good like physical and mental health develops peace rather than peace having any impact on your physical and mental state, or is it like it goes hand in hand?
I think peace. It's not an end destination.
Yes.
It's about having that process in place.
It's a process. Okay.
That will help you maintain it over a certain period of time. Let's say you hit the gym, right? The only way you can have a good physique, right, is only when you do that constantly, when you eat healthy. So you're following a process to
Right.
have that physique.
Yeah.
The same thing goes for having that peace of mind as well, where you constantly do those healthy things that is good for you, and you keep doing it over a certain period of time, that you develop that sense of peace in your mind. It's important to realize that it's not the end goal. It's a constant pursuit of having that peace throughout your life with the people around you.
Wow, this discussion is getting interesting and more interesting. Like I'm learning so much from him, and I am someone who really struggles keeping peace. But I think some pointers that you have given today will help, and I'll let you know.
I'm glad that will help, right?
Sometimes the hardest part of keeping your peace intact is by letting go. So, has there been a moment or experience where you had to release someone or certain situation to keep your peace intact?
I think that is letting go is something I'm still working on. I'm not gonna say I'm the best at it, but what I've learned is I have that I know how to control my emotions. Right, I'm not making decisions based on my emotions, and there are certain times where my emotions do take the better of me, and I have a difficult time letting go of things.
Right.
This is something I experienced in my past relationship, where I kind of knew that we did not have a future together because of the kind of people we were, but I still kind of held on for a little longer, just because I was a little afraid
Of letting go.
of letting go, right? So when it comes down to little things, yeah, I am able to let go of things. For example, if something upsets me, I might just get upset about it for like maybe, or angry about it for like 5 to 10 minutes, and after that, it doesn't really matter to me. It's done. I can't really change it. But when it comes down to something like as big as a relationship and moving on from there, that is something I'm still learning how to let go of, or like it's still a work. I'm still a work in progress when it comes down to
No,
certain
I'm sure
situations like
that,
those.
yeah, I completely understand your part that letting go, especially when you are emotionally, physically, mentally attached to certain situations
Yeah.
and or certain people, it's kind of hard and it's daunting and it's overwhelming because you have so much in your
Yes.
life that you have shared with them, or even say a job, or it could be anything, and it becomes difficult to let
Yeah.
go. And but it's certainly a part of developing peace, right?
100% right. It's interesting that you mentioned work, right? This is something I have recently learned, is learn to associate yourself from your work. Your work is not your identity.
Right.
At the end of the day, nobody's going to remember how good you were in the job you were doing, but they'll remember the kind of person you were while you were doing that job. A couple years back, I was someone who had a very hard time learning how to disassociate himself from the work he
Yeah.
was doing, and then I would want like complete control of the things that I was doing, and I would get a little upset if things did not go the way I want to
Oh,
go about
you
it.
were a bit controlling of the things you were doing at work.
Yeah, like if there was a certain way of going about doing a certain thing, I would want that thing to be done in a certain way, and I would not consider somebody else's perspective around it. And but this is something, again, as I said, right, it's a work in progress.
Yes.
But this is something I've become much better at, of understanding a different person's perspective, and that has actually allowed me to have a holistic approach rather than just um focusing on that one little thing.
Right.
Right, it has actually allowed me to understand how to focus on the bigger picture, and not just a tiny little detail that might or might not affect the entire big situation.
Wow, that's a really good point actually. Sometimes we get stuck on, with one perspective in our head that, oh, I need to do this
In a
this way
certain
only.
way,
That there
yes.
is a just this way which is possible to get it perfect.
Yeah,
And then we are not really, we don't have healthy boundaries with ourselves, and we do not let go of those situations or both
100%.
with those perspectives.
Yes.
And we end up overthinking. We end up not having a good, like you said, holistic approach towards things. It's a really good point that you shared here.
Interesting thing about overthinking, right? I've seen a lot of people overthink about certain situations. Overthinking is basically you're putting yourself through a situation twice. One when it hasn't happened, and the second when it actually happens. And
Yeah.
funny enough, when the thing actually happens, you'll be surprised how well you're actually able to manage that particular situation that you wouldn't even have thought about, right?
Maybe it's because of the overthinking part. You live it so many times that by the time it happens, you're like, okay, I saw it coming.
No, when you're constantly overthinking, you're focusing on the negative aspects of it. This is actually, again, a very interesting thing. Our minds, the way it's designed to focus on the negative things first rather than the positive
Yeah, I
things.
read about this somewhere. Yes.
Right. So you actually have to push yourself to focus on the positive aspects of a certain situation, and not just the negative things. Again, it's a practice, right? It's to wait, and this is just my personal opinion on it. Because I was someone who used to overthink a lot when I was in like 21 or 22, to somebody who doesn't really overthink at this point of time. Sometimes
Wow.
I barely think, but
You have come a long way.
it is what it is, right? Got laid off. It was very easy for me to just constantly crib and complain about it, maybe cry about it, and then constantly start overthinking. But
Yeah.
that wouldn't have helped me at all.
True.
If anything, I would have been homeless if anything at that point of time, right? But then you can't really
Control it.
control it, right? It's and the only thing I could do at that point of time is have some faith and
Just trust
the process. Exactly, right?
Trust the process, guys.
Exactly. So trusting the process is the key thing, I think, when it comes down to having that peace of mind.
True. I would like to focus, like, come back to this question that having that peace of mind, has it actually worked in your favor when it comes to professional and personal relationships, or even like socializing or networking?
As I said, right, peace allowed me to have that emotional awareness, and having that emotional awareness and appreciating different perspectives of different individuals has allowed me to create that mindset for myself that will actually help me grow in life, and
Have more healthier social relationships, let's say.
exactly.
When you are very controlled in yourself inside and you have that peace and you are confident, you do have you start trusting other people's capabilities as well.
100%.
And then that's when you're ready to work as a team player.
Yes, having that growth mindset is also really, really important in having that having that peace of mind.
True.
I believe as humans we are inclined towards growth, and if you become stagnant at a certain point or at any point in life, you don't really have that sense of peace in your mind, and then you constantly become unhappy or stressed, or you're constantly
Yeah,
angry or anything of
agree
that
with
sort.
you.
So I certainly believe that human minds are conditioned to always keep on chasing or learning, or being a better version of themselves. Again, it's just my personal opinion, and people might have different perspectives on it, but I think this is something that really really works for me.
No, I certainly believe that many people will relate with you,
Yeah.
and it's something, especially in at this age, like 20s and 30s, everyone is going through similar phases of time,
Yeah.
and uh, our age kind of pushes us to learn more things, and everyone is struggling in some way. Like, someone is trying to learn how to let go, someone is trying to develop peace, and someone is like chasing dreams. So all these things that you have shared here are like give us a good insight how we can improve ourselves when it comes to.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, next question is,
Yeah.
how do you think peace of mind can be sustained long term, especially as we continue to grow older and face new challenges? Like, I know it's overwhelming when you think about future. That's when you start stressing.
That's the whole point of it, right?
Right.
uh, what, People tend to underestimate themselves, right? What I know now I did not know 10 years ago,
Absolutely.
and what I would know 10 years from now is something I don't know right now. So you're always learning, you're always becoming a better version of yourself with the kind of experiences you're going to go through in your life. And I certainly believe in your 30s, or even in your 40s, you are the better version of yourself,
Yes. So
because you
it's
have,
gonna get better only.
yeah, because you've experienced life so much, you've had different experiences, you've had financial troubles, you've had relationship issues, you've experienced every single thing
True.
that anybody can experience in their 20s. And even for us, think about it at a very bigger scale. We went through a pandemic, we are going through sort of a recession at this point of time, and we are just in our 20s,
Right.
right? So we have experienced a lot in our 20s that most people experience over a decade, or say two
Absolutely.
decades,
Actually.
right? So if we can't learn from this, I'm not sure what exactly we need in life to learn from.
Yeah,
Uh,
I completely agree with you. So there is hope. Uh, as we grow older, we're gonna be more wiser. That's the whole point.
yes,
And
you have to have that level of faith in yourself, right?
true.
Because if not you, then
Then who?
who, right?
Right?
It is as simple as that,
True. I really I feel connected to that.
right?
Yes. So, for those who are watching this podcast and struggling with stress, anxiety, or even developing that inner calm, what would be that one piece of advice you would like to share, which they can start working as step one towards developing peace in them?
I would say start working on yourself. uh, Everybody's got their battles, everybody has their such stressful situations, but work on yourself. It could be as simple as going to the gym, or it could be as simple as improving the skills that you possess. For example, let's say if you're a videographer, work on better editing skills, right? There's always going to be room for improvement, and as long as you're able to develop yourself, you are going to be able to overcome all those stressful situations, right? Because when you actually start improving on yourself, you learn the lessons that comes along with it, working on yourself,
Okay, so the first step is start working on yourself, start improving the skills you possess, or even start learning new skills if you want to do that.
right?
That could be the one way.
Exactly. When you start working on yourself, you stop worrying about the things you cannot control, and then and as you see yourself grow and progress in that particular thing, you stop self doubting yourself.
True. Yeah, it basically starts by putting work in yourself and keep working in the direction you want to achieve. Don't think about the destination all the time. It's the process you need
Yes.
to have faith in and keep working towards the destination, and that's when you will figure out rest of it.
Yeah. You know, the best part about trusting the processes, you will eventually fall in love with the person you become while you're on that destination because you trusted the process. And then you're going to be a completely different person when you actually achieve the goal you have in mind in comparison to where you started,
Wow, can't wait for that. Can't
right?
wait for
I,
that,
I
but
don't think I don't think I can either, but as I said, right,
trust the
gotta
process.
trust the process.
Yes. I will have to really see this entire thing to recollect all the good things that we have gathered
Yeah.
here. But now it's fun time, so let's have a bit more jazzed up.
Yeah.
So we are gonna do a rapid fire round with Nikhil, and just give me the first word or first phrase that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay, don't think too much
Don't
about
think too
it.
much. Okay, let's go.
Okay. So, what's your favorite go-to activity when you need to unwind?
When I need to unwind, it has to be working out.
I knew that. Okay.
Yeah.
Big source of stress for you is
Big source of stress.
stress.
I would say my work.
Work. One word to describe your state of mind right now.
Calm.
Best advice you have ever received.
Don't complain about the results for the work you didn't do.
Oh wow. That was a really good one. Last question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest myth about peace of mind?
That is something that is very difficult to achieve.
Nikhil, this has been such enlightening session, and I'm sure everyone is going to have a lot from this conversation. And it was lovely. Like I'm still overwhelmed. Like so many things we talked about, and it
Yeah.
was such a rich discussion. So thank you so much for sharing all your experiences and your struggles, and everything that you have learned through your 20s. And I'm sure you're gonna rock your 30s too.
Thank you for saying that.
With that kind
Really,
of
really
trust.
believing in myself.
Yeah, yeah, of course, why not?
Yeah.
With that kind of trust in yourself, of course, you can just achieve anything that you desire. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode, Wiser by the 30s, and discovering all the new things about developing inner peace. And I hope you have gained a lot from this. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us more as we explore new ways to get wiser. Please comment if you want to explore it in more detail and if you have any questions for Nikhil. Until next time, stay calm, stay wise.
You had to say it.
I had to.
Okay.
Okay.
Done.